I mean, I thought it was very encouraging, even watching the film again, just to see how close the game was, how competitive it was, despite not us not being at our very best on offense, not delivering a typical offensive performance. And again, you give credit to what Arizona did defensively, how their forwards were able to move in ball screens, and they guarded with great energies. But yeah, it was sort of for Melo, Shannon, and Cody, maybe not to have their best offensive games and still be right there. It was just a heck of a game to be a part of too, and believe the volume of calls and just people talking about what a tremendous college basketball game it was, and try and keep that in perspective too, as you feel bad that the game didn't go your way. But yeah, we've had a good week of practice, and we're ready to hit the road again, and spirits are pretty good.
Any of those calls that you can share with us? Anybody, call you up and?
I mean, just coaches, friends that your own family members. My brother was one of the first ones to say like what a high level game it was, and kind of appreciate his opinion about basketball, and just even people locally that you run into, I think they were impressed by the quality of the game.
What does Trey do so well that gets him to the foul line so often?
Well, I mean, he's great at his body control. He stops and starts and gets defense off balance. He knows when the defender is in the cylinder, to go up and in the act of shooting and draw a foul. And so, he's very crafty too in the paint. Just figuring out a way to get contact and get the defenders off balance.
You mentioned. Good.
I was just going to, is a loss ever valuable? I know you want to win every game you play, but can you learn things from?
Not particularly. I mean, you don't really want to ever lose if possible. But it's inevitable. In recent history, would say that you're going to lose some games during the course of a year. But I mean, you look at the film again and you see how hard your team competed, and you appreciate that. And for us to go down, I believe 12 at two different times late in the game. Not a lot was going our way. We just, you see the determination your team has to put themselves back in it and give themselves a chance to win late in the game.
Is that kind of what happened in your 92 team that won the first 17? Then a loss, and then you get all the way to the finals, obviously.
Well, I mean, I don't. It's hard to compare different times, different teams. I don't get involved in that a ton. But it was. I mean, we did lose at Carolina. It was a rivalry game, so there was a similarity there at least.
Do you have any thoughts about starting 3 games on the road and a couple of the tougher venues to play at as part of that in the Pac-12?
Yeah, I mean, it's you got to play all the games. So there's going to be 9 on the road and obviously 9 at home. So we've got to battle through this stage of the season, and it's never easy to win on the road, no matter where you go in league play, and just got to be ready for that. There's other factors in this trip, and you get the altitude, and I scripted my practice different, gave less recovery time. I want those guys to be winded and play through being tired. There's not many other ways you try and simulate that altitude and what that presents. And Utah's got off to a great start, and I'm sure Colorado, having lost their first 2, is going to be hungry at home to try and get a win. So it's a challenge, and 5 of the first 7 actually for us are on the road. So we got to be. We've done it. We've gone on the road and performed well, and we just got to be ready for it this week.
There was so much talking to that game, talking about the pair of 7-footers Arizona has. You look at the final stats, the rebounds were right there with U of A. That has to be some positive you took away from the game.
I mean, that was part of what we were talking about, and so it was nice that the guys listened as we prepared and understood the value of rebounding. And we just kind of scrapped in there, and Mickey brings a different dimension to us that way. He's hungry to go get the ball, and he's a tough guy, and I think Kamani is going to make us even better at rebounding. He looked fantastic today. It's the best he's looked since the injury, and gaining more confidence about getting him back on the floor.
You mentioned the determination that you showed in coming back in Tucson. Is that something that you coach into them with the less recovery time, or is that something more you kind of recruit to? You can kind of tell
You
them?
try and recruit guys that want to win, that are passionate about the game, that are competitors, and you know we have several of those guys. We have a lot of guys like that. As does Arizona. You know, there may not be a better coach than Sean Miller of getting his team ready for a big game and getting his guys to play hard and compete. So it's just it's a great matchup when you had those type of competitors out on the floor.
Coach, would you say there's a chip on their shoulder looking forward to the matchup again in February?
I mean, it's just so far away from now already that, I think we've just tried to move on and start focusing on this week. And, we showed the guys the standings right now yesterday, in the Pac-12. And so I don't think it's where they want to be, but that's where it is today. And we gotta get things rolling again.
You
Remote.
won't have any reservations using Kamani on Thursday.
No, I'm going to need to, figure out how best to incorporate him into what we're doing. And but I just think even giving him an extra week for me was that just wasn't the game for him after 2 days of live practice, and now he's gotten another week under his belt, and he looks so much better than he did last week.
What's his game like a little bit, so for those of us who haven't
I mean, he's just a versatile player. He's not doesn't do one particularly one thing that you'd say, this is what he does. He just does a little bit of everything. He's a team player. He plays hard. He's versatile. He could go, he could put it on the floor, and he could play close to the basket. He's got like a 7-foot wingspan, which is going to be good for our defense, and he rebounds very well. And so he just does a little bit of everything. Guys really like playing with Kamani.
How valuable do you think that experience was for you guys in that atmosphere? We're playing from behind most of that second half, which hadn't been the case for most of this season. How valuable was that, moving forward for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. I think there a lot of teams would have shut it down at some points there when we got pushed down 12 the second time. To see another response, it just just shows how determined they are as a group. And if you're going to play at the highest level and it's the best teams in the country and have a chance to win a championship and compete for championships and play in the NCAA tournament, then you better be ready for those kind of games and to be able to have some answers in those kind of games.
Coach, what did